always that moment in your concerts where you're playing an acoustic song or something, it's a really quiet moment, and some guy in the back is like, "Marry me!" And I heard a story about Dolly one time. She was doing a show and she was really trying to have the audience pay attention. It was a quiet, slow song, and this guy in the back goes, "I love you, Dolly!" And she just looked up from her song and said, "I thought I told you to stay in the truck."
You tell him Dolly. I mean Taylor. I mean Dolly. I don't know what's going on. Ego and Vice, episode 135.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Born and raised in South Bay, lower class punk ass, I was Northwood grade. I had it made. Spent my nights drinking with my mates. Just a short bus ride up to PA. Red River Red. Then I hit the wall and I knew I had to bounce. They still say that 19 years ago, hell, I got the hell out. From time to time you may see me hanging around. Now I feel like a stranger in this town. Crocs and rolls is where I learned to play. Westwood Tavern's where I learned to walk away.
Hey, this is Mike. This is Ego and Vice. This is episode 135. Thank you so much for coming back to Ottawa's original and longest running music podcast. Made possible by you, the listener, the supporter. Made possible by the bands, the musicians, the artists that I have on. You are Ego and Vice. You are the heartbeat that makes Ego and Vice beat. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can't say it enough. You don't get enough credit. You really don't. Anyway, on the podcast this week, I am very, very excited to have a local singer-songwriter, currently the winner of the Capital Music Award, Newcomer of the Year. Amazing. That's a heck of a thing, you know. There's a lot of artists in this town. Lots. And to be recognized as very up and coming or one of the top, that's something to be said. So good for her. Her name is Hannah Vig. You've probably heard of her. You've probably seen her play around Ottawa. She's been playing for about 2 years or so now. Great songwriter, great storyteller, great musician. Lots of greats. We tried to get together before, I think it was before Christmas of last year. We had it all, the date all worked out, but as life does, it happened. And things didn't work out. So I'm super happy that we finally got together and we finally got to do the sit down and have the conversation. It was great meeting her, and I want you to listen to the conversation, which is coming up right after this track. And I am privileged and I'm honored that Hannah has let me debut her new single. It's called Lose It. So I believe it's coming out June 2nd, but you can only hear it first here on Ego and Vice. I've played debut songs before, and I'm always super thrilled to do it. So thank you so much, Hannah. And fans of Ego and Vice, fans of Hannah Vig, collaboration, here we go. This is the debut. This is Lose It. This is Hannah Vig, right here on Ego and Vice.
I'm taking shortcuts to desire paths on my way home. I'm never checking for cars before I'm crossing the road. You get angry when I come back too soon. Swallow my pride, I wash it down with the lump in my throat. You get to say what's on your mind because you know that I won't. I wonder if you notice all the ways I lose it for you. But you hold me like a grudge that you shouldn't throw. Or I take you like a punch.
Hey, we're back. This is Ego and Vice. This is episode 134. As promised in the intro, I am sitting here in Southwood Studio with Hannah Vig. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I know we tried to figure this out last year, and we actually was booked, and I think I was going to go to your place and bring all my stuff, and then
mobile studio, and
then
things fell through. It was a messy time for me health wise. So
yeah, that's okay though. Stuff happens, and we worked it out.
Oh yeah.
And you actually came to my place, which is easier for me because I can't lug this stuff around anymore. I realized it's just too much work.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming.
Of course.
So it's a beautiful day. And there's been a lot of rain, but because it's sunny, what is your favorite summertime song?
Ooh, right now I'm always on a major pop kick. I'm always listening to everything is always some kind of pop. But lately on repeat, I've had Gracie Abrams' Risk on repeat. It came out, I think, like 2 weeks ago. It just has this really fun, hard-hitting bridge, and I've been listening to it on loop.
Nice.
That and a lot of anything by Muna as well. Always very summer. Silk Chiffon, Kind of Girl is the other one by them. Yeah.
I think seasons definitely have music attached to them, and it's neat how, like, whether it's like winter or whether it's summer, it's just like, because when in the winter when I go snowboarding, I have my snowboard music, which just fits perfectly for the season, for the everything. And when I go on my bike, I make like a summertime mix, and it's just, there's always songs that I pull from. So I don't know. What's your favorite seasonal music?
Ooh, I love autumn music. That kind of stuff that just feels like it's leaves falling.
Yeah. I think the fall is a lot of favorites too. I like the fall too because it feels like, you know, things are changing, but it's not super cold yet, and it's pretty, right?
Oh yeah,
it's very nice, very nice.
Oh, yeah.
So you are a singer-songwriter.
Yes, I am.
And you are Ottawa-based, Ottawa-born.
Yeah, not Ottawa-born.
All right, let's get into
but
that.
Not born. I actually was born in Arizona, in the U.S.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I grew up in Arizona. We moved to Canada when I was 9. My dad's Canadian, my mom's American.
Dual citizenship.
Yes.
You can write your own ticket. That makes it touring easy, I'll bet.
It would.
It will.
If I do. But hopefully, fingers crossed. So moved to Canada in 2012. Grew up in the GTA, went to school and everything. Graduated and decided to come up to Ottawa for university in 2021, and then have been here since.
Oh, cool. So Arizona, you're used to that dry heat.
Oh yeah, this 80 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity is god awful. I'll take the 100-degree dry heat any day.
I was born and raised in Thunder Bay, so I've always been like a winter person. So I don't like any heat. I've always found it's easier to put clothes on.
Oh, it is.
To stay warm than to take your skin off and try and not to be super hot.
I hate the heat, but I hate the humidity.
So during your travels, Arizona to the GTA, eventually to Ottawa, where did music come from? What are your earliest memories of music in your life?
So my dad is a little known musician. He released an album like 2009, but has been writing and playing music since I was little.
Cool.
And he would always be playing guitar, and I would sing with him. That was kind of how I started getting into music at all. But I was very, very terrified of singing in front of people. Like family was like a big maybe. It would take me a lot to do that even, but I did always enjoy it. I did always like singing and all, and my dad had been trying to get me to play guitar for years, but I just never really had much interest in it. And it wasn't until around 2020 I got bored of my ukulele, which I had learned to play, and I taught myself just a couple basic chords on guitar, and my dad was ecstatic that I had finally wanted to pick it up. And the first time I picked up guitar, I picked up like a lefty, and my dad was so happy because he thought I was a lefty, and so he got it restrung for a lefty and everything. And then I realized, I was like, actually no. You just
did it wrong.
I just did it wrong, but because it felt it felt normal because I never played it before, so I was like, okay, this works. And then and then I realized I had much more coordination the other way, but only picked it up very, very briefly during COVID, and then there was like a very brief quarantine hobby. And then I think the first time I wrote a song would have been the first time I wrote anything that I actually played for anyone was January of 2022, but I wrote, I think, very, very few like horrible songs in 2021 that will never see the light of day ever. But I started actually getting like more into guitar towards the tail end of first year, which would have been around January 2022.
Okay. And I guess like you had touched on, I guess your dad was a guitar player?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And self-taught
yes.
guitar player, which is very cool.
Thank you.
I am also self-taught. A lot of people I know are kind of self-taught.
Yeah, it's a different wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But I haven't really had much options otherwise. I took piano lessons very briefly before we moved, and so I had like basic understanding of some minimal theory, but I forgot all of that like 10 years ago.
Do you think that's an important thing to know how to read music, to write music?
I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but it definitely does help, I think. Like I took a music theory class I'm in university, and I just took a Éléments de musique as an elective, just this music theory class in French, and because I wanted to learn, because I figured knowing a little more about like the basics and scales and stuff might just help me improve my writing.
Right.
And it has a little bit. I'm better at transposing things just off the bat, because my bassist Matt Scarf will always get upset if I send the chords and it's a capo, but it's not relative to not a capo.
Yeah.
And so, but I've gotten better just on the fly, being like, okay, these chords it's in this key, or it's these chords instead, since taking that theory class, which has been helpful.
Yeah, that's fair. And you're a songwriter as well,
Yes.
so I'd imagine the more you know, the more you can use towards the actual writing.
Yeah.
Cowboy chords, as they call them.
Oh, yeah.
Just straight up. It's, the simplest stuff is the easiest stuff, but if you can throw in something or just change something up just to...
No, I'm definitely a rhythm guitarist over anything else. I do not ever consider myself a lead.
I'm in that group. I've been playing guitar for like 25 years, and I'm probably worse now than I was when I started. I've just forgot things, and I've gotten so lazy. Anyway, that's cool. Do you remember some of your early inspirations, like music you used to listen to, even before you played music?
Before I played, I have always been a pretty big fan of Taylor Swift. That was always one of the big ones. My dad was a very big country music fan, so I grew up on a lot of George Strait, Reba McEntire, kind of that kind of vibe. But I didn't really actually start listening to music until probably like grade 8, grade 9. I started kind of having my own taste. I listened to a lot of the emo music of the days, like Panic of the Disco, Fall Out Boy. But Taylor Swift was always like a big one, and I got more into like indie pop within the last 4 or 5 years. But Taylor Swift, Phoebe Bridgers, Maggie Rogers is another very big inspiration. Maisie Peters is one of the more recent ones.
I like Phoebe Bridgers. Yeah, she's really good. I love that song, Motion Sickness.
Oh, yeah.
It's great, right?
Classics.
It's like, speaking of summer music, that was always a driving song for me. Just the way it kicks in. It's that really kind of melancholy low beat is awesome. When you listen to stuff like that, when you were starting to get inspired by music and that, your dad, like you said, your dad was a musician. I've asked this question before. If he wasn't, do you still think you'd be going down the path? I
think I might still. I did always just like singing for fun, and I do love performing. I was very terrified of it for a very long time. There's a video that exists. It's not anywhere online. I've showed it to, I think, 3 people total, but it's a coffee house fundraiser that happened at a local theater that a friend of mine went to, and I went to. This was April of 2019, and I was so terrified of singing in front of people. My friend and I did this duet to Like I'm Gonna Lose You with like a backing track, the John Legend, Meghan Trainor, and it was god awful. It was like she is a beautiful voice, powerful, incredible. I was terrified, like kept like not being able to breathe, and after that I was like, I'm never doing that again. That was horrible. Like towards the end it was kind of fun, but I was like, this freaks me out way too much. But it wasn't until coming up here for school, being in first year, like freshly 18, I was like, I kind of want to get over that fear, because playing and singing is something I like doing, and I wanted to be able to do that in front of people. Yeah,
if it's a passion, you have to overcome some things, and I wonder how many musicians will never know of because they couldn't get over like the fear of like the stage and like public speaking and stuff. So that's awesome. You broke through. So
thank you. Yeah,
that
first gig, Queer Connection, in March of 2022 was my first time really performing in front of anyone other than that blip in 2019 and the few friends I'd played my songs for. And so a sold out show at Saw with 200 some people for my first gig was kind of nerve-wracking.
It's a little overwhelming, yeah.
A little terrifying. You could definitely hear it in the first few songs. My voice is a little shaky, but then I got comfortable with it, and then the adrenaline after that, I was like, I want to do this again. I want to do this forever.
Yeah. My next question was, has it gotten easier? But
oh yes, definitely.
It does, right?
I still get a little bit nervous sometimes, but I feel like if you're not at least a little bit nervous, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. You don't want to become too complacent. I always find that it's not real it's not like scared nerves anymore. It's more like nervous energy because you just want to do it, right? And
exactly. You want to do it well, and
it's that there's nothing like, you can write music and you can record music and you can release music, but there's just something about performing and being on that stage that just almost gets in your blood. And you're just like,
you just can't. It's like a bug, and you can't get rid of it.
That's the big part. The older that I've gotten, I found that the producing or the engineering of music is kind of equivalent now, but back in the day, performing was like a big deal.
Yeah.
When it comes to music itself and your inspirations, or even when you're writing, what is it that grabs you? Is it the music? Is it the lyrics? Is it, like
when I'm listening to other...
Well, anything. You said when you were younger and you didn't play instruments.
I have always been a writer. That was my, like, growing up, I loved creative writing. I wanted to be an author for a good long while. I just always loved creating and making stories, and once I got a little bit older, I kind of realized that it was just a good outlet for me to get things out in a healthy way. I love journaling. That was a big thing. My mom was always trying to get my sister and I to journal whenever, just to kind of keep track of our lives and, I don't know, mark down memories and stuff. But I did always like writing, and I think around the time I was like 16, 17, I realized that it was a lot healthier than some other coping mechanisms that I had at the time. And so it's just kind of been something that I always turn to whenever I need to process something that's a little harder to deal with.
So it's definitely about the words.
Yeah, always the lyrics.
Yeah.
I keep a list of lyrics that I hear that hit me kind of hard. And
yeah, there's something about great lyrics that are just like, especially when you're listening to music, as I was talking, what kind of moves you as far as music or lyrics, and sometimes it's just a little hook or one line that's just that.
Something that like punches me in the chest.
Yeah, like that. That's just me. That hit me. Like, that's so heavy for me. Like, I get that, and yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And cool. Do you remember the name of the very first song you ever wrote? Did it have a name?
Yes, I think. Okay, well, if we're going off of ones that were like, I think I remember writing something. I wrote something for my ex back in like 2020. This person I dated who was kind of horrible, awful to me, and then after we broke up, I wrote a song about it, and just about some of the BS that they'd pulled. And I remember I called it my mom told me not to write this, because my mom told me, I think a little bit after we broke up, I was sitting on the couch with my mom in her place, and she's like, just whatever you do, just don't write a song about it. I'm like, too late, Mom, I already did. Like, this is how I deal with things. And so I called that. It's still, I'm sure there's still some voice memos of it somewhere, and I played it live a couple times. I think summer of 2022 and maybe winter, fall of 2022 once or twice, but it has since been buried in the vaults.
My mom told me not to write this.
Yeah,
it's also kind of emo
a little bit sounding, yeah, like, because
right?
the first line is my mom told me that I shouldn't be writing any more songs about people who've hurt me. That was the first line of it. And,
right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So after your first show, I guess you started performing more. I noticed that you did have some shows. I guess it's only been 2022, so it's only been a couple of years, right?
My first gig was March of 2022, so it was just 2 years ago, like a month or 2 years and 2 months ago ish. But so that first year I had the Queer Connection put on by UO Pride, the fundraiser, and then that summer I organized a show with just me and Out by Lucy, who'd also played that Queer Connection show after meeting them, and we sold out live on Elgin that summer, and it was super fun. And then someone else had asked me to play something that August, and the Noise Hotel had asked me to open for them in September, and played a couple of other small things. I had my first like headliner at Avant Garde in December of 2022, and then couple, I think, played Irene's with the Noise Boys January of 2023, and then I've lost track of how many shows I played last year.
Yeah, some of the places I saw was Irene's live on Elgin.
Yeah, Saw Gallery
you've touched on, but what is the Jukebox Lunchtime at the NAC?
Oh yeah, so that so someone reached out to me around this time last summer about playing a show. It was this free concert series happening at the NAC, just inside, and not in like one of the concert halls, but it was like a stage that they set up on the inside, so people just walking like through can come listen. And it was just just me and my guitar for 40 minutes, and it was a lot of fun and I think a very stellar thing for me to have on my resume now that I have played the NAC.
I was going to say that's
very exciting.
It's a hell of a venue to have definitely on your resume as you said it. I actually saw you at the Saw Gallery once. I went to see the Stobie was on the bill with Class
November
91.
18th. Yeah.
Yeah, and I came there. I got there about halfway through your set because it started so early. I can't believe how early stuff starts. Anyway, yeah, because Stobie's like one of my favorite bands, and I had already talked to you and set up the podcast, but I don't like just approaching people like, hey, how's it going? It's me and this. So I figured I'd wait. But yeah, it was excellent. It was excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my first show with the full band where I wasn't playing an instrument. That was like one of the few. I think I've only done it twice where I've had a whole band, and not play guitar. I just sang.
Cool. That was actually my next question. Is the band? Did you want to give what is the band? Is it
okay?
Who are they? You want to give a shout out to the players?
It started out of a band called Chilio, this kind of punk band from I think BC or Edmonton maybe, reached out to me last summer about playing a show in August, but they asked if I would be able to have a band for it, and I was like, but I had been trying to get a band together. Some friends and I were thinking about it for a while, but it just never worked out. And then this gig came up and they wanted me to have a band for it. I was like, I'm sure I could figure something out. So I had a friend who was going to do bass, but it fell through. And that week, I kind of knew that she had been wanting to bail about it, but I knew like they didn't want to leave me hanging without a bassist. And it was that week that I met Matthew Scarf at a Live on Elgin open mic. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine, Jamie Chamberlain, introduced us. And then that week I reached out and I was like, hey, I have a gig coming up. Would you want to do bass for me? And he's like, yeah, definitely. And at the time I had Annika Devlin Frownline. She was doing drums because she was back in Ottawa for the summer and played drums. And so that first gig, it was Matt, Annika, and I at Avant Garde. That was August, I think 11th. And it was so much fun. And it's a very different energy playing with a band than just by myself. But I really did enjoy it. And I think I had 2 other shows that month alone that were with a band. Mm-hmm. And then rotated through a couple drummers after Annika had to leave. And then Nay and I met and found out that he played drums, and I was like, do you want to do drums? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then and that's been the case. And it wasn't until so Eric Montpool of Noise Hotel is one of my closest friends. Mm-hmm. And after I'd started playing with the band, he's like, oh, if you ever need anyone to do lead guitar, I'd be happy to join.
Cool.
And so around November, I think was the first time that he joined us, and so it was a nice little 4-piece. And then he's been doing lead whenever he can. But I think we're back to our first 3-piece show since November. It'll be on June 1st at Saw Gallery with Schoolhouse.
Cool, June 1st, Saw Gallery. Is that how you're presenting now, as a full band, or are you still doing solo stuff?
I still do some solo stuff. I have a solo show actually on June 22nd as well, opening for Sarah Elena and with Jemima for Sarah's album release party. But I do like doing solo shows sometimes because it is very different. I get to play some more low key things, because with a band I find I do tailor it a little more. It's usually the more higher energy songs. Like it's where I'm kind of. I think last week, or the May 11th show, was the first time we experimented playing with one of my slower songs with the band, and it worked very well. So I think we'll be doing it more. But I do kind of like having that oomph, that kind of punchy energy.
Yeah, there's lots to be said about like acoustic solo shows and stuff like that. But it's true. Do you know who Laura Jane Grace is?
Yes, I do.
I love Laura Jane Grace, and she had this interview, and she said, I think it's like genetically something in people's heads. They can only listen to so much acoustic guitar, and then they can't anymore. Yeah. So I get that. Mm-hmm. With the band or by yourself, you do have some music online.
Streaming.
I was looking at, you had some singles from 2023, I believe. Mm-hmm. Clean Break, Nostalgic, Retrograde.
Yes. So
and an EP called Seasons Change.
Yes. Yeah. So Clean Break I actually wrote in October of 2022 after a really messy breakup that should not have been as messy as it was. But I was just writing to deal with it, and I played a song, and it was at the Irene show. And I wanted to play it, and Eric said, okay, if you play it, we can do backing band for you. So Noise Hotel had a little backing band for me moment that January, which was really fun. Mm-hmm. And Eric's like, this song is good. Like I think you should put this out. And my older brother lives in Arizona. My where I'm from originally, and he does a lot of he's a sound engineer for a lot of like death metal bands.
Cool.
But he's like, if you have time when you're back in town, because we usually go back for Christmas, he's like, we could record something. So we recorded Clean Break in his studio, and then put that out in February on Valentine's Day, because I thought it'd be really funny, ironic to release a breakup song on Valentine's Day. And then met Kieran Isley in March, and around the time he had started recording Noise Tell's EP, and I was like, hey, would you want to work together maybe? And he was like, yeah, for sure. And so then we started. I didn't know at first that it was going to be like a project. I thought it was just be the one single, because I wrote Nostalgic around March, and but he loved it. He's like, this is awesome. And then I was like, maybe an EP, and sent him a couple other songs. I wrote Retrograde around the same time as Clean Break, but it's actually out as a SoundCloud demo that is just like an acoustic. It's there's a couple other demos out there. They're also not great. Not my best work. But Retrograde, wrote that one, and then I knew I wanted to record something that I'd previously put out on SoundCloud, and that was the best one. And then I wrote Seasons Change. The title track was actually the last song that I wrote for that EP. I wrote it like July, I think, right as Kieran and I were finishing up recording, and I was like, it was originally going to be a 4-track EP with one single, which was going to be Nostalgic, but I was like, what about 2 singles, a fun little surprise single I'll drop the day before, and 5 tracks, because I wanted Seasons Change on it. And then after writing it, and after he agreed and said he wanted to also record that one, I was like, cool. And then I was like, I think this one has to be the title track. Yeah.
Is there anything better than like writing a song and then performing it, but then going into the studio and hearing it back for the first time?
Oh, it was incredible. It is so cool.
The best moment.
You know, sometimes I shuffle my Spotify and like my own music comes up. I'm like, this is actually unreal that I have, you know, things out there that people can listen to. All these like vulnerable thoughts and feelings that are just out there in the universe.
Yeah, and it's okay to listen to yourself. Everybody, everybody does.
I do. Don't worry. Yeah, they're fun.
Even if they say they don't, they do. At this point, why don't we play a song?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, this is Hannah Vig with a song called Seasons Change. Ego and Vice.
I think I might go out tonight, chase highs without a drink in sight, feel the music washing over, speakers sound and a stranger turns their head, no surprise that I'm doing this again.
So you said that one song, my mom told me not to write this song, was
goodness.
about a breakup.
Yes.
What do you normally write about? Like, what is your content? Like, do you have a message, or is it just
Usually
how you're feeling?
it's mostly bad experiences. I find that, I do write songs about good experiences and happy things, but I find there's a very thin line when you're writing a song about a good feeling, that it kind of teeters between like cute and heartwarming and like kind of cringy, and it's a very hard line to walk, and I don't always trust myself to walk it. So I do have a lot more confidence in my songs about my bad experiences. So I write about some of the girls who've kind of messed me up that I've dated, or family issues, just kind of friends. I had a really messy roommate situation last summer, and that was what Seasons Change was about, because I was just realizing how much of my life had been changing. And I moved out of that place I was in. I'd been kind of surrounding myself with people that were a lot kinder to me, and I wrote the song I think like 2 weeks into living in my new place, and I just felt so much lighter than I had the few months before. And I wanted to put that to paper. So Seasons Change, I think, is one of the more like uplifting songs that I have, even though the whole thing is just about the impermanence of people in your life, and just, being on the cusp of your 20s and realizing that everything is always changing all the time, and being an adult means that you just have to deal with it.
And as a writer, someone who writes music, but also you said you did journals and stuff, you must have tons of material. Like, you have endless amounts of words.
I think I told it up in my Google Drive a little while ago, and I think I've written around maybe 60 or 70 complete songs, I think, since I started writing. But I think there's maybe like 20 or 30 that I really, really love that have not been like released or anything.
Yeah.
But I've been writing a lot, like, it always works out where the newest songs are always my favorite, because I'm always improving my writing. My musical abilities are always getting better, and so my most recent songs are always my favorites, except I think I wrote a song back in September that I still really love, and it was very rare for me to have written something and still like adore it after playing it a couple times. Like,
right.
I am so sick of Clean Break. It's just it's fun, but it is kind of juvenile, and my writing has improved a lot, so therefore that's why we don't really play that one live anymore.
Right. Yeah, but then if you play it enough, the people that are fans, they want to hear it, so
exactly.
you're kind of obligated, right? So it's like, I wish I never wrote that song. Having like lyrics, or not even lyrics, but just having down the written word, do you find it easy to put that to music? Usually,
yeah. I do always start with lyrics. I sometimes have melodies in mind. My phone is so full of many gigabytes of voice memos, too many voice memos. If I have a lyric or something in mind and I have a melody that goes along with it, I'll take a little voice memo, and then later, because normally it always happens when I'm like at work or not home, when I have a piano in front of me, I'll figure out the notes that I'm singing and then figure out chords from there. Because I do have a pretty good ear, and my basic piano understanding does make that easier, and I don't know the fretboard well enough to figure it out by ear on guitar, so I always just use piano and then switch over to guitar from there.
Yeah.
But so I start with lyrics always. I have, I think, 4,000 notes on my phone, and I think at least 2,500 of them are just lyrics from the last year and a half.
Yeah, it's amazing, like the voice recorder on your phone. It's the last 4 phones that I still have. It's going to be like one day it's going to be like bookshelves. They're just going to be full of old phones because they're full of notes. And like when you have time to transfer all that over, like especially if you're a songwriter or a lyric writer, that voice memo thing, it's always. Like, you look back through the list and it's like 2 seconds long, 12 seconds.
And if I make the mistake of forgetting to put the titles, because I'll be like, oh, I'll remember which one this is. And then it's like new recording 637. And I'm scrolling back and I'm like, I have no idea what is on this. And then it's like 30 seconds of me humming into my phone. Like it's.
Yeah.
But
or you label it, it's like you just put MIK, and it's like
this file
already exists. Try again. It's like shit.
Always.
Anyway.
But I do write on paper sometimes. I have a notebook. I do kind of sometimes think better when I'm writing on paper. Like whenever I write an essay for a class, I always have to write it out by hand.
That's just the way I do it. It's just the way I've always done it, because it's there, and I find that if I write it, I remember it too, as opposed to typing, because typing has just become so like robotic and stuff. So with the EP that's been out, it's been out since 2023. Are you planning on obviously you're planning on recording? Do you have anything in the works right now?
Yes, I'll do a little sneak peek. Out of curiosity, when is this airing?
Next Friday.
Okay, perfect. What day would that be? That'd be
June.
May 31st.
Oh, someone's
maybe?
calendar's in a.
31st. Okay, perfect timing. I actually. the 31st next Friday. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's next Friday.
So I actually have a song coming out June 7th.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, it's called Lose It. I wrote it back in September. We played it live countless times. It's very fun. I think it's probably one of my favorite songs that I've written. The writing, there's just all these layers of imagery and analogy, and I started writing it off of like a couple lyrics that I jotted down, and then ended up kind of Frankensteining into something about just some bad experiences I'd had, and it's been so therapeutic and cathartic to play all the time with the guys, and I love it, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. We tracked it with Rob Veluso in his studio, and then finished the recording, and it was mostly produced by Kieran Isley, who did my EP, so there's some continuity. The sound, it's different than the EP. It's a lot more rock, a lot more, I think if that one genre-wise is a lot more indie rock than indie pop, which is what I categorize the EP as. But it is very fun. I think it matches a lot more of what my sound live has been lately with the guys, with the band and all. So I'm very, very excited for it to be out.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm very excited to hear it. I think you have the range to do it though, right? As a singer-songwriter,
Yeah.
Now that you have a band, and sometimes you don't have a band, you could do all kinds of different genres. Well, sure, genres,
that's
styles,
actually,
how you're feeling, that type of thing.
No, I've been kind of writing a little. I do have country roots, as I explained, but I'm very in denial about it. Eric is always yelling at me about how the chord progressions I use are like very, very country jaunty, and I just refuse. Great. But I've been leaning into it more. So a couple of my newer songs, I get kind of twangy, and there's like a couple songs or something I wrote that Eric says sounds a lot like a song by the Cars, and I'll have my singer-songwriting like Taylor Swift, Phoebe Bridgers-esque. Yeah. I kind of jump around a lot with genres, and I've like been writing a bit more on piano lately too. So I try not to put myself into too many little boxes about.
No, the problem is that this late in the game, it's all been done anyway. Yeah. So you have to find your own kind of corner of it. So it sounds like you and that. Oh, yeah. So as long as you can write and you're happy with what it's done, like what it is, they say you shouldn't write for other people, but it's really hard not to, because you want people to hear it.
And
right?
just I was in kind of a rut, like a very big writing, just dry spell all over like December, November. What with the EP, and I was so burnt out from school, and I'm in school full time, not right now, but in the fall, winter, and I work 20 hours a week, and so and plus music, I was incredibly burnt out, and I just felt like everything I was writing with the knowledge that other people were going to hear it, and so it kind of lost a lot of that catharsis, that processing that I rely on it for, and it didn't really bring me joy for a couple weeks, and I was so sick of it. And it wasn't until I was back in Arizona, and I was talking to Eric about it, and he's like, and I was just like, I feel like everything I'm writing just like doesn't make sense, doesn't work. He's like, Hannah, it's not an essay for a class, it's a song, you can do what you want with it. And then I wrote a song on my MIDI keyboard, because my older sister doesn't have any guitar or anything in hers, so I just brought my MIDI keyboard with me to Arizona, and I wrote this song on there that I am super happy with, and it doesn't totally make as much sense as a lot of my other stuff, but I absolutely adore it. And from then on, I've been kind of getting back into the mood of writing without thinking that other people are going to hear everything. And I remember that I'm like, I don't have to show everyone everything I write and everything I do if I don't want to. And
well, that's like, they say you are your worst critic, and if you let that get into your brain, like, oh, people are going to hate this, like they've heard this from me or stuff like that, it can fuck you up a little bit.
Yeah, worrying that everything I'm writing sounds the same, or it's all been done, or I'm writing too many breakup songs, or too many sad songs.
And then you get the imposter, what's that? The imposter syndrome, where you're like, I'm a hack, they're going to find out.
Yeah. Everyone's going to find out that I have no idea what I'm doing.
Exactly. It's like, I don't have any more songs, I'm just writing them the same ones. That's awesome though. But you must be doing something right, because just recently you won the Capital Music Award for Newcomer of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank you
amazing.
Very much.
That's amazing.
That was incredible. I was not expecting it.
How did you even figure that out? I guess you found out you were nominated?
So nominations were in March. You could nominate yourself for it. I nominated myself for one of the other awards. I was nominated for Newcomer of the Year and Songwriter of the Year, and I think the Newcomer of the Year was open to a public vote, and I know a lot of my people who care about me voted for me for that one, which was so heartwarming. But I was still not expecting to win it, because it is still like a jury, like there was still like all the nominees were chosen by a jury after they go through the whole list of nominations, explain the whole thing. It hurt my brain to think about, but I was not expecting it, because they do kind of take into consideration like streaming and how many numbers, and I'm like, I don't have an insane amount of numbers, so I was like, I wasn't really expecting it. And I was also like, I'm still like, I'm new, but I'm like, I did not expect it, but they called my name and I went on the stage, and my acceptance speech was so poorly thought out because I was not expecting it. I did not rehearse it enough. I did like half, because it's OMIC is a bilingual organization, and so I am bilingual, and so I did a half my spiel in English, half of it in French, but I was so nervous, was too busy grinning ear to ear, trying not to sob with joy.
Did it feel weird, like, to actually like hear your name go up and like hold the trophy?
Yeah, it was kind of
we've all seen that like on TV, right? Just like,
yeah, on the stage at the Bronson Center, it was kind of wild to look out and see, you know, faces of people, all these people that I do care about who came to support me, and then a bunch of much more faces that I don't know, don't recognize.
That's amazing.
Or
That's
even
cool.
just seeing a lot of like local musicians whose work I really admire, or who people who I just think are so incredibly talented, who play music in Ottawa.
Well, as an artist, a local artist, I think that's a great way. It's a great way to start, because after 2002 to now, or 22 to now, it's like that's an amazing achievement.
Thank
you should be proud of yourself.
Thank
really.
you very much. No,
because your work stands up for sure. It's very good.
Thank you.
What is the future look like? What else do you? I know you have June 1st. What do you have for the rest of 2024?
Shows and releases and all. So June 1st, Schoolhouse, Saw Gallery. That's a show with the guys. June 22nd, a solo show. We have our first show in Toronto, actually.
Nice.
We are playing on July 12th with the Empties, who are a Toronto-based band that I opened for last summer, and then opened for again in September with Schoolhouse as well. That's how I first met the Schoolhouse guys. And it's the Empties, myself, and Noise Hotel as well, is also playing in Toronto. So it's my first Toronto show, which is super exciting. And the week after, we're back here playing Café de Cuff for the first time with an out-of-town band called Whisper Gang, and then I'm playing the Ottawa Bagel Shop Music Fest, just a little solo back at that establishment in Westboro. Oh, their bagels are so good. Playing that on July 7th. End of August, I think I have a few things still in the works. We were hoping to play something in Montreal, but it has not been working out, but we'll see.
The beauty of Ottawa, where it's situated, you have Toronto and you have Montreal, Kingston,
options.
Peterborough. You have all these nice little hubs where you can play music, and you know, it's great. Are you gonna bring the trophy with you? Are you gonna put it on the stage?
Oh goodness!
No?
Oh god!
Or is
no,
that
no. It's going
too...
on display on my fireplace in my apartment.
Is it heavy?
A little bit. It's actually my sister pointed out to me, because she came with me, and she noticed that because it has 3 or 4 piano keys on it, or 3 white keys, 2 black keys, and my sister told me that all the trophies most of them had different keys, and so I think they just kind of took apart an entire keyboard to put together the trophies, and I thought it was really cool that everyone kind of brings home a different piece of it.
That's cool. Yeah, that's super fun. I'm congratulations on all the success.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the music you've already released, the recognition you got from Capitol Music, and all the best for the future. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything else you wanted to touch about the music career? Any shout outs you wanted to give? We are gonna play 13 questions.
Okay, yes. Oh yeah, no, I'll do a quick little I do just have a couple people in the music scene who are just keep me as passionate as I am, and that's Eric Monpool of Noise Hotel I mentioned, Matthew Scarve, my bassist as well, Zara Lada, aka ZL Music, also incredible, a very just good friends of mine who keep pushing me to work hard and write and care about it.
Good friends to have.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay, I have a game that I play on every podcast. It's called 13 Questions with the Band or Artists. Would you like to play?
Yes, let me just have some water.
Okay, let's do it.
Time for 13 questions with the band. Yes, this segment's back again. It's called 13 questions, but I only asked 6, maybe 5.
Okay, we're back. Now, we're going to play 13 questions with Hannah Vig, but as I said earlier, I think I said this off mic. Okay.
Yes.
I have always used the same 13 questions, but I was getting kind of tired of them, so I wrote up 13 new questions, and this is the first podcast with the new questions. And you are the guinea pig.
Okay, how quick are these answers going to be?
Yeah, you can answer them. You base it off the question how long the answer is. It's not like explain the relativity of. No, it's not. It's very easy. Okay, 13 questions with Hannah Vig. Oh, I hope I don't repeat some of the stuff I said earlier. Anyway, I'll edit that out. What was the first music that moved you?
Oh, this is, oh geez. Oh, I gotta think kind of hard. I think probably one of the first concerts I went to live, I went to a music festival in Burlington called the Sun Music Festival, which is actually like one of my bucket list things to play. And I was in grade 8 and I went with friends to see The Offspring, Smash Mouth, Live, and Marianas Trench.
It's very 90s.
Very 90s. Spin Doctors as well.
Oh,
Extra
wow.
90s. But Marianas Trench was one of my favorite bands in like grade 8, and I think that was like my first big experience with live music, and it was absolutely incredible.
Cool.
The whole Marianas Trench set and just their, I don't know, the energy they had just was incredible. And I remember thinking like, this is so fun, and it was my first experience like that, and I was, I don't know, kind of moved by how much I enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, that kind of answers my second question too. I don't know if it was your first. What was your first concert as a fan? Like real concert?
Oh, like the first, I think that one maybe, but if I think I would more so count April of 2022, I went to see Lorde in Montreal.
Oh, that'd be cool, yeah.
I think that would probably be my biggest one, because I loved all the bands that played the music festival, but it was like a easy access, like it was in my city, like 15 minutes away from where I live, so it was very easy to get to. But I think the first like actual concert where like I had to kind of maneuver to be able to go to it was the Montreal Lorde for her solar power tour, and it was absolutely incredible. I cried so much. It was so good.
I cried at a Foo Fighters show once.
You know what? Fair.
Yeah. Anyway, what is your favorite song today?
Oh, okay. Wait. Let me pull up my Spotify. What have I been listening to? I jump around. I make a monthly playlist and I listen to however many songs. I've on repeat lately. I've had The Black Dog off of Taylor Swift's Tortured Post Apartment.
Okay.
And also Block Your Number by Maud Latour has been, I think, one of my favorite songs for maybe 3 years now. And I've been listening to it a lot lately, because with my monthly playlist, I always put on songs that mention the month, and the song mentions the month of May, and so it's on the playlist, and so I've been listening to it a lot lately.
Very good.
Yeah.
My girlfriend is a massive Taylor Swift fan.
Oh,
yeah.
So true.
She got her Spotify stats, and it was like she had like 8 bazillion hours of whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What is your desert island record? If you got stuck on a desert island for like 5 years and you only had one album to listen to.
One album. I do have a list of my favorite albums of all time. I think I want to say one of the Taylor Swift, but I feel like I also no, what am I saying? It's How Will You Know If You Never Try by Coin. Coin is one of my favorite bands. They're like this indie pop. But my second tattoo that I ever got is actually a reference to this album, How Will You Know If You Never Try, because there's a song on it called Hannah, and that's how I stumbled across them, because I was trying to find songs with my name on it on Spotify, and this one song comes up and I absolutely loved it, and there's the lyric How Will You Know If You Never Try is in that song, and I just was so drawn to it, and I would listen to that entire album for
on
the
the
rest
desert
of my
island.
life. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, what is your favorite rainy day music, or what when you're feeling kind of down?
I think I don't really listen to a lot of downbeat music at all.
No, but if you're feeling,
I know.
If you're feeling kind of down, you don't.
I don't really.
It.
There's not really. It takes a lot for me to listen to like actual like
the Misery
sad
Loves
kinda,
Company type of.
Yeah, I'm a
type
big
of idea.
fan of like sad, depressing lyrics with super upbeat backing.
Let's just jump to the next question then. What is your favorite music to pick you back up?
A lot of throwbacks or songs that I loved like circa 2019, 2020. So that'd be a lot of like All American Rejects, or like kind of nostalgic to me. Definitely a lot of old Taylor Swift, like anything from Speak Now, Fearless, 1989. I'm trying to think. Anything like any indie pop girl, like upbeat, like Ella Jane, Maisie Peters. Yeah, that kind of.
Cool. Okay, if you had a time machine and you could go back to any famous musical event in history, where do you think you'd go?
Ooh.
Something you always wish you were there, type of thing.
It's not so far back, but I would have wanted to go to the Speak Now tour in 2000. I think it was 2011, because I was not a big enough fan of Taylor Swift at the time to go, and tickets were dirt cheap because she wasn't like massive yet. And now it's like several $1,000s for nosebleeds.
Oh,
and
man,
you
it's
can't
crazy,
even,
right?
and even that's if you even get a code to get them, which I did not.
Yeah.
So
it's too bad
yeah.
it's so expensive, I know. Okay, well, here's a good one. Who would you love to open for?
Ooh, Maggie Rogers would be a big one. Taylor Swift, that's like a pipe dream, but I'm still speaking it into the universe one day. Muna, I think would be really fun. Phoebe Bridgers would also be incredible. I'm trying to think of, there's a lot of like bands and queer artists that I admire so much. Muna is one of them, Phoebe Bridgers as well. Ella Jane is another one. There's a smaller artist indie artist from Los Angeles. Her name is Juliana Joy, and I've been absolutely obsessed with her music for several years, and she just opened for this artist named Xana on her tour, but I would love to open for her if she ever tours.
Cool. If you could have a drink or a meal with someone that you looked up to growing up, who would it be? Or actually anybody.
Anybody?
Anybody.
Honestly, probably my older siblings. Both of them, like my sister Haley and my brother Zach, would probably be the biggest ones. I don't see them as much as I could, because we, they live in Arizona and I do not. And they also, my brother tours with a lot of the bands, and so they're not ever home that much anyways. But I do like just getting to hang out with them when we are back in town. And now that I'm older, I think they're both like 10 to 12 years older than me. And so now that I'm older, we have more in common, and there's more, and with music especially, there's more for us to talk about, and we've gotten a lot closer since then. And yeah, if I had an opportunity to sit down and have a drink with them again, that would be fun.
That's awesome. That question was on the old 13 questions, and I always like when people answer, I'd have a drink with my bass player, instead of like, like a celebrity or something. It's like, because it's the only guy I like hanging out with anyway. And it's like, okay, that's cool. What advice would you give to yourself as a kid?
Ooh.
Knowing what you know now.
Oh, hindsight's everything, isn't it? I was a very insecure kid in terms of just my musical abilities. It wasn't really until I played my first couple of shows actually, that I stopped kind of having that imposter syndrome of thinking everyone is lying to me. I was like, people are lying to me. Like, my writing is not good. I do not have a good singing voice. Like, and it took a while for that to kind of, lessen. But yeah, I think I'm the only person that younger me would listen to on that front of, you just need to trust that you are doing what you love, and other people want to hear it. And if other people didn't want to hear it, they wouldn't go through the trouble.
That's right. Do what you love what you do.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Very last question of 13 questions with Hannah Vig. Who is Hannah Vig?
That's so vague. I am a English major, queer person, singer-songwriter, prospective librarian, library page currently. I think that about sums it up.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. It was great talking to you. It was great getting to know you. Again, congratulations on all your success. Congratulations on everything, the award, and good luck. I wish you nothing but the best for the future.
Thank you very much.
Sky's the limit, I guess.
Yeah.
Any final words?
No, I think that covers it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Christmas in Arizona.
Oh yeah.
Things are tough, eh?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, have a good day.
Thank you very much.
She doesn't talk to her family. She hasn't seen them in a while, and her eyes are piercing. They light up when she smiles. Haven't known her very long. Met her late that Friday night at that party I didn't wanna go to, but it's alright. Oh, yeah, it's alright.
Hey, that's it. That is episode 135, Ego and Vice. I'd really like to thank Hannah Vig for being on. Great person, super interesting story. She has a very, very bright future, and I'm really happy that I was able to sit down and have a chat. If you want to contact me, you can always reach me at egoandvice@gmail.com. Drop a link. Drop a complaint. Hey, it's up to you. If you want to find the podcast, if you want to listen, go to egoandvicepodcast.com. It is your heartbeat. It is your HQ. It is your fortress of solitude. Every link to Ego and Vice across the World Wide Web is there. So you'll find me. Take care. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. See ya.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.